Hello everyone, today I have an exciting little news update about some recently leaked developments at SpaceX, which could have pretty big implications for rocket technology overall, but is mostly focused at Mars colonization. And I'll go a little bit into detail as to why that means a lot for rocket technology overall. So basically CAD files indicate that SpaceX is planning to accelerate Mars colonization by simply moving the Earth closer to Mars. For this they have designed a rocket engine codenamed Goliath, which would be placed in the Pacific Ocean and fire about 6 hours a day, when it is in that evening window where its thrust would basically be prograde for Earth's orbit around the Sun, thus slowly raising the Earth's orbit and pushing it closer and closer to Mars orbit. Of course, the really interesting thing is that this engine needs to have a specific impulse far greater than any other chemical engine. Obviously, if you are going to move a planet, your specific impulse needs to be greater than that planet's escape velocity, otherwise your exhaust will simply fall back onto that planet, pushing it back into the opposite direction, and your net thrust will be zero. This is simply Newton's laws. If you can't get your fuel or some other sort of propellant like air in an air-breathing engine to move away from your spaceship, you won't have any net thrust. But the design implicates that this is actually not a nuclear engine. It seems rather that SpaceX is using some rather exotic chemical fuel like metallic hydrogen, which is very difficult to use but could make for great rocket fuel. So if they actually master this technology, that could improve rocket technology overall, as this would allow for relatively lightweight engines without a nuclear reactor to have an incredible specific impulse that was previously impossible for chemical engines. And at just over 100 seconds, which would be terrible for a specific impulse, I think I have played out this joke long enough, and it was obvious from the beginning that this was just a late April Fool's joke. With yesterday's Tiangong-1 crash, I didn't get around to making this, and also Elon Musk tweeted his much less happy and funny and a slightly darker April Fool's joke himself. However, I am actually going to start evaluating crazy concepts like that in the future, as I see a lot of discussion around them, and these super far future or unrealistic projects are always quite interesting, and it's often surprising which ones are actually practical and which ones are not. Now this one of course is utter nonsense, which is why I used it for an April Fool's video, but there are a few ideas for large structures and currently incredibly impractical but physically possible concepts like space elevators or sky hooks or similar ideas that I haven't seen before but that would also be like physically possible, just incredibly impractical, and I'd like to evaluate a few of them and see if they are actually physically possible, if there could be any far future use of them, or if they're just some pretty CGI. And of course keep in mind that any technology or material that would make currently impossible concepts possible would also make currently available technologies better, and thus might just make that concept obsolete. In other news, there will be a Falcon 9 launch with a COS Dragon supply ship to the International Space Station in a few hours. My next explanation will be about rocket design and optimization, and what has changed in the last 60 years so that nowadays space rockets and military missiles, which used to be one and the same back then, are now incredibly different in terms of design. With that I will end this little joke, and as always, thanks for watching.